Uh, Good afternoon, dear friends. Today I am going to deal with the first topic of our FYBA appreciating short story paper. The title of this topic is Unpacking the Short Story, definition, elements, and characteristics of short story. Actually, this is the first slide, and I'm in this presentation. I'm going to deal with the definition of short story. What is the definition of short story? Then what are its elements, and what are the characteristics? So, what exactly short story is? There are various writers that have those have defined short story in different ways. But for the sake of this paper, I would like to give a very brief definition of short story. That is, a short story is a brief work of fiction that can typically be read in a single sitting. In short, short story is very short work of fiction. It's very short and brief. And what is most important point in case of short story is that it can be read in a single sitting. Suppose that if you begin to read a story, you will complete it within one sitting. It means you don't need to spend too much time on that. That's why it is called short story. So why it is short story? Because it's concise, brief. It's unlike novel. It's not like novel, because novel is a longer narrative. It has many characters. It has many words. Okay, so that's why it is shorter than novels. What exactly short story focuses on? Basically, short story focuses on single event, very few characters, setting is limited, and it deals with 2 or 3 themes, or it may deal with one theme. So, as traditionally we have been told stories, our grandparents have been telling us stories. For this paper also we have selected some stories that are very interesting. So, I would like to tell you something about the difference between plot and story. So, what is story? Story is the content of a literary work. It means that it will tell you about what this is basically about, and the plot is about how the story is told, and what are the different ways by which a story gets told. So when we talk about a story, we should keep it in mind that it has beginning, middle, and end. These are the 3 important parts of each story. As basically when we watch movies, we after watching movies we come to our friends, and we tell stories to our friends, isn't it? So that's why each story has a beginning, middle, and end. Okay, it has a limited focus, and it has limited emotional impact as well. Uh, if you look at the text of a story, you will understand that there is no single word that is useless. Means each word is important in case of short story. Then, after defining short story, we will move forward to the core components. Means what the story is made up of. It means what are the important elements of any short story. So the first and the most important part of each or every story is a plot. So what is plot? Plot means the representation of the events, isn't it? M. Foster, in his book Aspects of the Novel, has talked about the distinction between plot and story. So what is plot? What is story? At first, I have already defined what is story, but for the sake of this distinction, we should again begin to talk about this difference. So he has given the very famous example of what story is. He has made to various peoples, and he has asked people, so what does the story do? Isn't it? He made number of people, and the answer to this question was same. It tells a story. So what is plot? He has given the example king died and queen died. King died and queen died. This is a story. It means there is no cause and effect relationship. King died and queen died of grief. That is the plot. That is plot because it has a causal effect, cause and effect relationship. So plot is the artistic representation of events. For example, suppose that there is a story of a person. The story will begin from his childhood, as he is born, then his childhood, his adulthood, then his marriage, and after that his death. This is the story. This is the linear. There are 5 events, for example, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. But what about the plot? These events are not organized as serially. It means that the events in plot do not occur serially or do not occur in linear way. That is the artistic representation of events. That is the plot. Understand? So this is all about the plot, and each story is made up of many important elements. The second important element is characters. Who are these characters? For us, in simple words, characters are people who play a role in a story. It means they perform certain actions. So there will be hardly any story, there are no characters. And please remember that characters can be different, isn't it? There may be animals can be the characters. If we look at our old stories, you will see that the stories like Panchatantra, you will see that there are characters. These characters are birds, then animals. These characters can come in story as well. So when we talk about the characters, E.M. Forster has talked about 2 important types of characters. The first important type of character is flat character. It means whenever there is a story, if there is a character and that character stays same from the beginning to the end of the story, it is called flat character. It means it does not change. It remains as it is throughout the story. So that is the flat character. And then there are, we watch movies and we read stories, we see some characters. These characters keep changing. It means at the beginning the person is someone else and he or she changes. It means the man or the boy or whatever the character may be remains same, but it keeps changing. He or she keeps changing. That's why the characters keep changing. These are the called, this type of characters are called round characters. So each story has a plot, each story has characters, and the next important part of each story is setting. It means if something happens, if any event happens, it happens in a particular place. It takes place somewhere else. So where it takes place, it is called setting. It means place where action takes place. It means the place where the action of the story takes place. So the next important element of short story, this is theme. You might have heard about the theme. Theme is the subject. If you want to understand the theme of a story, you just ask this simple question. So what the story is about? You will get the answer, and that answer is the theme. It is what is the message or what it is about. It is called theme. So next important point is point of view. Okay, so of course if there is a story, there is somebody who tells a story. That somebody comes under point of view. It means there are 3 different narrators. This is most important concept again. If we talk about a story, there is somebody who tells a story, and that somebody is called narrator. So this narrator comes under this point of view. For this class, we will simply focus on 3 types of narrators. You know that there are different types of narrator. The first type of narrator is first person narrator. So who is this first person narrator? The first person narrator is someone who is an active, who plays an active role in a story. It means he or she is a character in a story. That story he or she is telling. It means the character tells story about himself or herself. So the next important type is second person narrator. The second person narrator is generally referred to you. We don't find generally that type of narrators too much, but it's a type. Then basically the most important again, third person narrator. This third person narrator is somebody who tells the story from outside. He or she is not playing active role in a story. Somebody who is not the part of the story. It is called third person narrator. We must know these things because when we want to appreciate, when we want to study short story, so we will be able to use these concepts in order to understand a story better. A student of literature will analyze a story differently, and a student who is not associated with literature will analyze it differently. That's why this is the basic difference. So whenever we watch a movie, whenever we watch a film, we should try to find out these elements in a movie. We should try to understand these elements in a story. So we will go in detail. So what is plot? Plot is defined as the representation of the events. Events is transition from event. If we want to define event, event is a transition from one state to another. So what is plot? Plot is the artistic representation of these events. So plot has some important elements. If we look at the first element of the plot, it is exposition. Whenever there is a story, we see that within 2 or 3 lines, we are introduced characters. We come to know who are the characters in a story. So this is the first paragraph of a story. If we read, you will understand that it tells us about the basic important characters of a story. Then it also tells us where the story takes place, isn't it? Where the story takes place. It's about the setting, as we have already talked about. As the story goes on, then we see that we might have heard this word interval. Whenever we watch movie, after 1 hour or after 1.5 hours, you will see there is a gap. There is a pause, and that it is called interval, and that is the initial conflict. It means something complicated is to happen. If something complicated does not happen in a story, then the story will not go ahead. So that's why it is initial conflict. Traditionally, if we talk about a story from a movie, you will understand that there is always a hero and heroine. They meet in a place. That place may be anything. That place may be college. So that the place is setting. Where they meet, that is setting. And someone else enters in their relationship and it creates conflict. So that's why it is the initial conflict, and then things go on in different direction. So suppose that if there is an introduction of a villain in a story, then the villain will build tension, and there will be some obstacles, there will be some complications, and then the story will go on. And then the next point is climax. Climax is that point of a story where the action takes at a higher level. It means it has reached to the highest point. And from that point, it creates tension, it creates complications, and then the story turns towards falling action. It means after the climax, then comes falling action. That is the anticlimax. We generally call it anticlimax. So resolution, and at the end, if it is happy ending, the hero and heroine, the characters will get married, or there will be bad or unhappy ending. Okay. So these are the important elements of the plot. Okay. So what are the characters? We generally, when we talk about characters, as we watch in the movies, there are heroes, we call them heroes, hero or heroines, or other characters. So these characters are always different, isn't it? There is no single character that resembles to someone else in a story. So protagonist. Whom do we call protagonist, or who is protagonist? Protagonist is the central character of a story. That is the main character. The hero of the movie is called protagonist. Or any important character, main character in a story is called protagonist. And the whole story runs around the life of the life of protagonist. So if there is protagonist, there is supposed to be somebody else who will fight against him or who will create obstacles to that protagonist, isn't it? So that the person, to this person we call antagonist. Antagonist is the villain, somebody who is creating obstacles and difficulties and conflicts in the lives of other characters. So there are supporting characters. These supporting characters are also important because they play a very important role. This supporting character, suppose that if there is a hero, there is a protagonist and he is in love with his friend. So the friend of the protagonist can be supporting character, or the friend of the female character can be also supporting character. So these are the some elements of character. As we have talked earlier, the next important point is setting. So what is setting? At the beginning I have talked about it little bit, but here we will see what setting is. Where and when the magic happens. It means where the story takes place. The place where a story takes place, it is called setting. And when it happens, it comes under the heading of time, but here these both elements are combined. Okay. Where and when things of action take place. So time period, it may be historical era, it may be the season. Suppose that when a story begins, if we read God of Small Things, you will understand that the story takes place at the beginning of the rainy season. So this is time period. Then location. What is time period? It may be historical era, it may be specific stories context. If we read Train to Pakistan, we will understand that it happens in after the partition. Okay, so this is time period and location. Where does it happen? It takes place in historical or geographical place. So that is called location. Atmosphere may be mood and emotional quality created to this. It's okay. Theme. So what is theme? Theme is the subject matter of a story, underlying message and meaning. So what generally when we read stories, we will understand that these stories are basically about love stories. Whenever we go to watch movies, we see that there are many stories are love stories, isn't it? So love has played an important role in shaping many of the movies and narratives. So love and loss, then self-discovery, identity, or a story may be about social justice, or it may be about coming of age. It means it tells the development of the character's development, or it may be resilience, human resilience, survival. Okay, so as I have told you already, point of view, whose eyes are we seeing through? In narratology, it is also there are two different ways of telling and showing. These are the two important ways, because a story can be told by someone else and can be seen by someone else. So here, the first person is a character that tells a story of himself or herself in a narrative. So that is called the first person. The first person is always the part of a story. Always remember that if somebody is there who is telling his or her own story and he or she is the character in the story, it is called first person. Second person, it is addressed as you. You open the door, this is the example. And third person, this third person omniscient, these are the divisions, but for the sake of this class, you just remember that third person omniscient narrator. Third person narrator means someone who tells a story. Third person narrator is never a part of a story. He or she is telling. So these are the types of narrators. Beyond the basic key characteristics. Okay, what are the key characteristics? Story generally has single effect. It means it has intellectual or emotional effect. Then, of course, this is also important aspect. characteristics of a story. It is concise. It means it deals with a single action. It has a very small action. Then it has limited characters. If you think about the novel, you will see that there are many characters, but in a story there are very few characters. It means we can count them. Then story has emotional language. Story is of course like a novel, isn't it? Because in a story there may be songs, there may be a description of the movies, but generally it is very short. Then concise action, it has a tight timeline. It means there is a clear cut division of hours, days, or weeks. Okay. Epiphany, this is also inside. Epiphany is this. This is the concept. It tells that when a narrator or any important character says something and begins to identify that particular event as a transformation event, it means that characters understand something, and from that point onwards, the character thinks that I am born for this. It means it is a turning point in the life of that character. That is epiphany. It means the character has understood the why he is born, isn't it? Or why what he is going to do. Okay. So I would like to summarize whatever we have done till this point. That is, what are the crafting, compelling short narratives? What we have done so far. In this video lecture, we have talked about the definition of short story. As already I have discussed, short story is very short, it's very simple, it is concise. If you begin to read it, you will finish reading it within a single sitting. It means you don't need to leave the place and then start reading, because it is very short, you will read it in a single sitting. Then it has a single focus, main focus, limited characters, and as I have already talked that each part is important in a story. There is no word, no sentence that is important in a story. So these are the elements what we have talked about. Story and plot, I have already talked about this, and then I have also talked about the elements of the short story. Then I have also talked about the characteristics of a story. The basic difference we should always remember that between the plot and a story is simple, it is linear, but plot is rearrangement of these events. So there is also one term whenever we read a story, we come to know that there is always somebody through whose eyes we see things happening, and it is called focalization. Focalization also is an important aspect of each story, because a narrator may tell us, but a character is there, and through whose eyes we see story happen. It is called focalizer. Focalizer means somebody through whom we see story happening. So it is called focalization. There are also types of focalizers. It may be the first internal focalizer and external focalizer. Suppose that if we see story, any bad event happens to someone, and we see that event happening through the eyes of a character, and that character is also active in that narrative, it is called internal focalization. And if the character is not part of a story, it is called external focalization. So this is what I have tried to tell you. There is also one more important thing I haven't included in this PPT, that is narrative technique, isn't it? Whenever we read a story, we always come across various techniques. So what is story? What is plot? We have to identify that. So narrative technique is how a story is told. It means what are the important elements by which story is told. So under that heading of narrative technique, we see that it comes narrator. Narrator is somebody who tells a story. Then flashback. as we have talked about, it is a part of a plot. It means flashback means the event that had happened earlier will be introduced at the beginning or in the middle of the things. So that's why whenever we watch any movie, we see that the event that had happened in the past will be introduced at the beginning. So this is what the story is, and these are what the elements are. But for the basic information, you should always remember that story is very simple narrative. It is a short, it is concise, it can be read in single sitting, it is limited. Okay, thank you so much.